So here recently I went out and, well, I did a thing. I traded in my WR250 that I haven't been riding very much for a new bike. I still wanted something small, so this is the Triumph Scrambler 400X. And of course, because it's wintertime and there's not a whole lot to do, it's time to buy some Farkles. And one of the things I wanted to do was put on a set of driving lights. So the guys from Co-Light said, well, you know, Craig, we have some lights that are new to us and they would look great on your new Scrambler. So they sent me these. These are the new D07 Pro driving lights, 7 LEDs. They've improved the brightness, decreased the power requirements, and improved the waterproofness. Now let's take a step back a few days when I set these up on the bench and I can show you some of the features. These D07 Pro lights are 4.5 inches in diameter, come with 7 LEDs and an amber backlight. And they come with these optional amber covers. The LED bulbs are good for 30,000 hours of lifespan. The Pro lights consume 70% less power and are 50% brighter than the original D07. The wiring harness includes the relay control box and 3 triggers. The blue wire you can hook to a passing switch, the green to your horn, and the red wire is your main accessory trigger. And of course, there's a 2-button switch. Power lead, of course, goes to your battery's neutral and positive poles. Here I have the main trigger hooked up to the battery for testing purposes. So let's do some tests with the amber lens on and off. Press the light button once for the amber backlight. Press it again for hot white. Double-click the light button and you get both the amber backlight and the hot white lights. Press and hold to turn the lights off. The lightning bolt button allows you to scroll through several flashing options. I can see that these options would be useful during a parade or maybe an emergency situation. I also tested the trigger wires for the horn, that is the green wire, and blue for passing. Alright, so now it's time to install these Co-Light D07 Pro lights. And I'm going to put them on my new bike. This is the Triumph Scrambler 400X. And I just think those nice round lights will go with the round headlight and the look of this little Scrambler. So I went ahead and I installed the upper and lower crash guards on this bike. And that's where I'm going to mount these lights to. Now, I ran into a little bit of difficulty. I was originally going to use these clamps that come from Co-Light, and they're a nice clamp. They're kind of big and bulky, but I thought that wouldn't be too bad for a Scrambler install. But the problem I was having is that the only place that I really had to mount these, because they have to be mounted flat in some fashion, was that they installed this radiator about 2 inches to the left, right, in this little Scrambler. So this clamp worked fine over on the right side, but I could not get the lights to clear the radiator, at least not very well. I maybe had like a 1/8 of an inch, and I just didn't want it to be that close. So I decided to go with another kind of mount. Let me show you what that is. So what I'm going to use is this. This is a little crash guard light mount from Denali, made to go on, 1-inch crash bars. And they're fairly expensive, right? I've had these for a while and I've just never used them. So this is actually going to be the perfect application to do that. So I'll put a link on where you can go get them, and also put the price down here because I don't remember what they are, but I think they're like 80 or 90 bucks. So they're kind of expensive. If you can use the Co-Light ones, well, they're much better priced. But the way that this works is there's two pieces to this mount. There's a clamp that goes around the bar, and then there's a little arm, an extension that goes on that you're going to put the light on. So this allows you to really move everything around and get it positioned exactly where you need it. So I can mount them down here on the bar, right, rather than having to put it up here like I was going to with the other clamps. So again, let's go to the other side and I'll show you what I did. So what I'm going to do is measure down 2 inches from right where the bend in these bars are, and I'm going to mark that spot because that's where I put the one on the other side. All right, and then of course we're going to undo this clamp. All right, now I'm going to tighten this down and I'm going to align the clamp directly with the bar as best I can, and then we'll, fix it if we have to later on. All right, now we're going to take and put the little arm for the light on, like so, and we're going to try to mount that as level as we can get it, and we'll adjust it as necessary once we get the light on. All right, let's get the light on now. Get that cinched down. Okay. All right, now we'll make any adjustments we need to make. The next thing I need to do is figure out where to mount the switch. So I think that place is going to be right here off of the left clutch lever there. So I'm going to put this little plate just like that. All right, so we've got the lights mounted. I've got them all lined up perfectly because they have to be perfect, of course. And I've got a place to mount my switch. So now we need to run the wiring. So to do that, I've got to take off the seats and take off the tank. So let me do that and then I'll get back to you. All right, so several hours later, I'm back out here in the garage. Actually, I got all the wires ran last night and I quit for the day so we could go out and have some dinner with some friends. So today I'm back here in the garage and we're going to see if we can wrap all of this up. Now, I'm not going to show you all of the ways that I ran the wiring because, well, it's going to be specific for your bike. You may have to do things like take the tank off, take side panels off, those kinds of things so you can have access to run the wires efficiently. And as I said, it'll be specific to your bike. I will explain to you here what I did, but again, I'm not going to show you the entire process. I secured the wiring to the crash bar. And this is the connector for the light into the harness. It's about as big around as my index finger, so it made for some challenging routing. I then secured the wiring underneath the tank to the wiring harness and then brought it back into the area where the battery is. All this will be hidden underneath the seat. So now let's get into finishing all of this up. So this is the relay box, the control box for these lights. And what it's going to do when we're done here is this is going to slide back under the tail section right in here. And then we'll put all of these wires out of the way like that. So of course I need to do a few more things. Right? There are actually 3 trigger wires on this unit, right? One is for the horn here, that's the green. I've ran that down to the horn. Again, we'll talk about that in a minute. There's this blue wire right here. That is for a passing button, right? And here in the United States, we don't have passing buttons on our vehicles. In fact, if you start flashing your lights and honking when you pass, you're liable to cause some road rage. People will think you're telling them to F off, essentially. So you don't want to really do that anyway. And the last wire here, a very important one, is this red wire. That is the accessory trigger wire. I'm going to put that into a keyed line that will then tell this unit to turn on. So what I'm going to use for my accessory wire is this little brown wire right there. This actually goes out to the light that illuminates my license plate. So it's very low voltage, you know, not really does a whole lot other than just lights up that license plate. So I'm going to tie into that again with this red line. So, and I don't need all of this wire, so I think I'm going to end up cutting this and we'll tie it in right there. And how I'm going to do that is I'm going to use one of these wire tap connectors, and I'm going to unscrew this gray head, and it's going to slide over that brown wire like so, and then I'm going to screw this on. All right, and that'll tap into that wire. Now I'm going to cut this and we're going to put it in the other end. So now I've cut the wire, stripped the end, and we're going to press that wire down in here, and then we're going to screw this in to compress it, all right, up against the metal that's inside, the conductor. So that should do it for our trigger wire. Now what we have to do is hook up to our battery. All right, so I got to move this a little bit because we got to be able to fit that plastic piece back on, so I didn't think about that when I first did it. All right, now we'll tighten this back down. There we go. Now we'll see if we can get that on. There we go. Perfect. All right, now let's stow all of this stuff away so everything's pretty. And one of the hardest things to do is to deal with all the extra wire. So I'm going to put half of it on one side, stuffing it down here, and then this other half is going to go on this side. Like that. And that's my battery tender, so make sure that doesn't get lost. All right, and then we can just stuff all these again back under there as well. Okay, now let's see if it works. Okay, as you can see, everything's working except for that horn trigger. So I'm going to have to tear into that and see what I did wrong, see what I'm going to have to do to make it work. All right, I got them all installed. Everything's now working. You can see that the horn trigger, the flash is now working. You do have to kind of push it a little bit longer than normal. You can't just hit it quickly, right? You've got to hold it for half a second or something like that, and then it'll flash. Now you also notice as we just went through all of that, I was looking at which is brighter, right? And obviously the white is really intense and bright, and the amber is also, that is the amber backlight with the white, is also really intense, man. You know, it's hard to even look at out here. Now another thing you might have noticed is that when you turn the bike off, the lights don't remember where they were set. You have to start all over again and turn them on again. So just something I'm gonna have to get used to. But overall, these are pretty nice, right? I think they're gonna work really well, and like I said, they are bright. Now I will try them when it gets dark, and we'll see how well it works to light up the street. Taking the bike outside after dark, I tried a variety of different beams. High beam, low beam, amber, white. But I did use the amber lens covers because that's how I plan on riding the motorcycle. I really want this mainly for daytime use. But let me tell you, if you take those covers off, man, things get really bright. So there you have it. These D07 Pro lights from Co-Light look great on this little scrambler. And as you can see, they're bright as hell. People are gonna have a hard time not seeing me coming. So that's exactly what I'm looking for. I want people to see me so they don't pull out in front of me. So these lights are just gonna do the trick. Now, if you want to purchase these lights, please check out the link in the description of this video, and that'll take you to the Co-Light website. And if I have any discounts, of course, I will pass those on to you as well. So now all I have to do is wait until springtime, and I can get out and ride this thing with those new lights. I'm really looking forward to it. All right, guys, stay safe out there and keep squeezing your lemon.